A very good evening and welcome to the semi-final rounds award ceremony of the 2021 Enactus India National Competition. It is so lovely to see you all back here today. I know mostly in anticipation of the results, but I'm sure also to celebrate all the positive impact we have achieved this year. This week is a very special week for all of us at Enactus, especially for the colleges, the students, the faculty advisors, and all the mentors and beneficiaries involved with Enactus projects. Every year, it is during these few days of the national competition that we truly get to witness and showcase the values of Enactus, those of passion, innovation, collaboration, integrity, and empathy. The number of collaborative projects this year is a true example of how the joy of working together with a common purpose far exceeds that of competition. We have just concluded the semi-final round of competition this afternoon, where 16 teams have participated, and 4 of those semi-final round teams will now move forward to the final round of competition today. But before we get to the results, we have the opportunity of participating in and listening to a dialogue on a topic that was voted as the most wanted topic by our Enactus students. So it's kind of a dialogue on demand. Our 33-minute dialogue for today is on the topic of the role of technology in innovation and entrepreneurship. And I'd like to welcome our first speaker, Ms. Anuranjita Kumar, a human resource veteran with over 26 years of experience across leading companies such as the Royal Bank of Scotland, Citibank. And Anuranjita is also the founder and CEO of Women in Technology and IndusCap Ventures, where she is engaged with investment decisions and operations of early stage companies. Joining us next is Mr. Sachin Arora, partner and national head, Digital Lighthouse, KPMG in India. Sachin is a seasoned startup mentor and a seed investor. And prior to joining KPMG, he headed the AWS analytics business for India and the SAARC region and supported multiple startups in the Indian subcontinent. Our third speaker for today is Mr. Ashish Munjal, the co-founder and CEO of Sunstone Eduversity, a higher education organization working on providing accountable and industry-integrated education. Ashish is also a serial entrepreneur and has co-founded multiple startups in the education space. Joining our 3 speakers, we have our Enactus students and alumni. Please welcome our alumnus Aditya Agarwal and our students Khushi Joshi and Vamika. Vamika, over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I am so excited to be a part of this dialogue. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vamika, and I am an Enactus student from Jesus and Mary College, and I have with me Aditya, a graduate from the Shriram College of Commerce, and Khushi from Aryabhatta College. Now, in today's technological age, we have a newfound love for novelty, gadgets, and everything tech. Businesses are constantly evolving, and us with them as everything takes on an innovative face. The entrepreneur is also trying to keep up with these new discoveries and mold himself or herself to strike the perfect balance between technological innovation and entrepreneurship. Let us hear from 3 innovators turned entrepreneurs to know more about their expertise on this topic. To begin with the dialogue, I know, having worked with Enactus projects, that students are always looking for innovative ways to do good in the world. Along the way, innovation and entrepreneurship are terms that we deal with every day, but a number of newcomers, myself included, are lost in the relationship between the two. Ashish sir, what is your perspective on this topic? How do the 2 terms actually fit together, and how are they different?
Yeah. So if you look at innovation is sort of a necessary condition for entrepreneurship, but it's not a sufficient condition in itself, right? So innovation and entrepreneurship both go together, because when you are starting something new, you are changing some status quo. Like in our case, we are changing the way education work, right? So when you're starting something new, you have to be innovative, And it's not that only a startup or when you're starting you can be innovative. You can look at companies like Amazon, you can look at companies like Google, who are very very large companies, but they continue to innovate. Whereas all of us have seen a lot of such companies who couldn't innovate. I won't like to name those companies, but all of us know those companies who couldn't innovate and now couldn't survive this new wave of technology. And it's not just the innovation that we have to ensure that we continue to do, it's the experimentation and the failures that come with those experimentation. Not every experiment will lead to successful venture, right? So in fact, almost all of our experimentations that we'll do will probably lead to failure, but maybe 1 in 10 will give us some sort of a successful outcome out of that. So innovation is something, I'll repeat that it is something which is paramount, which is critical, but in itself is not the necessary, it's the necessary but not the required or sufficient condition. You will have to do a lot of experimentation, take a lot of risk. Sometimes those risks can be calculated risk, sometimes they may be just your hunch, right? So entrepreneurship, starting on your own, these are much larger umbrella in which innovation plays one very critical role. But yeah, you have to account for multiple other things as well.
Thank you so much for your insights, sir. As an actor students, we're constantly engaged in entrepreneurial action and innovation, the power of innovation to change lives, to make an impact. And hearing you speak about the true essence of innovation has been very inspiring. Moving forward, my next question is for you, Anuranjita ma'am. So currently, we see that a lot of students are focusing on entrepreneurship while they're in college, especially in the space of technology. However, if you look at the reality in India, there are very few startups and entrepreneurs as compared to, say, Silicon Valley. So, ma'am, do you think that this is the reflection of our skill development and education system? And how can we encourage more students and researchers to take part in entrepreneurship?
So brilliant question, Khushi. And I think Ashish was very eloquent in explaining what innovation is. I'm a late entrepreneur. I'm much older than Ashish is, and uh, but I think there is no age or there is never an end to an education. To your point about India has less entrepreneurs, well, this has been a fabulous year. India has had 21 unicorns this year. So actually, I would disagree with that, saying India has less entrepreneurs. I think the new breed of students and entrepreneurs who've come out actually have done a brilliant job. And in my view, there'll be three things which I can kind of sum up. One is the ability to take risk. I think at my time when I was graduating, which was almost 20 years back, it was all about financial security. Get a job, and I don't think that's kind of gone away. So Ashish, I hope you're hearing, because given you're in the education space, but the Indian ecosystem is yet very focused on safety. Get a job, get a, settle down, as your parents say. What does settling down mean? Means financially secure ho jao. So I think that has changed, and yet has to change a little more. The other is the government policies have changed over a period of time. You have access to capital, which wasn't there at my time. Even if I wanted to start, I couldn't, because I didn't know where to get the money from. Third is, look at where technology is. हमारे time पे अगर कोई startup हुआ, you had to have a server, hardware. Today you have cloud. I mean, you can think about something, you can buy cloud space, and you can get started tomorrow. Absolutely impossible for you to do. So for younger people like yourselves, I think this is your time. And I would say, don't get bound by the education system, which sometimes favors security. And I think it's also the social thing. Like in a lot of Western world, you have government taking care of your basic needs, right? So you can actually get out and you won't be on the road. Whereas in India, you don't have that social security. So the medium of earning becomes extremely important. So I think, yes, education system has to evolve further. It's come a long way. I think ecosystem is evolved a long way, and the outcome you see is 21 unicorns in a year. And every day I read a story about another unicorn and another unicorn, which should be very very motivating for a lot of you. And in summary, I would say, If we keep saying nothing changes, then nothing changes. And if nothing changes, we stay the same. So, in some way, innovation and technology is equal to growth from my point of view. Growth for us as a generation, growth for us as a society, and growth for us personally and professionally. And if we don't grow, we don't evolve and we don't get better. So that's not going to work, not for you and not for the world. And we all need a bit of a positive change. We need good ideas. We need progress. And I think the only way to discover the limits of what's possible is to go beyond the impossible. And when I look at a lot of youngsters like yourselves, I mean, today what you see is a reality was somebody's imagination yesterday. When you're shopping on Amazon, somebody took the courage to dream about it, right? When you see, everybody's heard about Zomato IPO or Nika is going for IPO. Having known some of those founders very well, when Dipinder and Pankaj Chadda were out there and looking for vouchers, that's how they started. They dreamt of a platform. So the question is, are three of you and many of you, like, in your generation, willing to dream big? Once you're willing to dream big, everything starts to flow in. So to me, the key to innovation is risk taking, dreaming big, and being very resilient.
Yeah, if I can just add a couple of points there, Anu, because I completely agree with Anu here that it's no better time to start a company in India than right now. And we can say that because I have started a company before this in 2014 as well. So the kind of support system that is available right now, whether they're like, you don't have to figure out or worry about a lot of other things, that how will your financing work, how will your, let's say, tech work. There's, for everything now, you have plug and play kind of solution. And most importantly, there is actually a lot of capital liquidity available in the market if you want to start. And India actually is now the second largest startup ecosystem in the world now. And this is what we are also seeing in our students. As Anu said, that previously it used to be all about financial security, because that's how our parents used to think, that first you need to be financially secure. Nowadays people like you, they're actually much more bolder. They can take much larger risk. They have larger risk appetite. So I see that next 5 to 7 years are going to be like a really great time for Indian startup ecosystem.
That is indeed very inspirational, sir and ma'am. And I'm sure that your words are going to motivate a lot of students out there to take risks, to dream big, and to come out of their comfort shells to take up entrepreneurial projects, leading India on the path to develop itself as one of the biggest startup ecosystems in the world. So going ahead, Sachin sir, I would like to know your perspective on the fact that if innovation is sort of a cornerstone of business development and growth, then what, according to you, is the cornerstone of innovation then? Is it so that innovation can only be harbored in a particular personality, or must an entrepreneur keep certain points in mind while trying to nurture himself or herself?
Great question, Aditya. And a lot of good things have been covered by Anu and Ashish. So I'll have to be a little innovative to answer more than what they have done already. Uh, I mean, if you really think of, and rightly put by Ashish earlier, that innovation and entrepreneurship, although have a huge intersection, but they're two different things altogether. You can be innovative. A child is innovative every day without running a business. We are, sometimes innovative in different ways. So, but if you have to look at the intersection between the innovation and the entrepreneurship, it is first of all finding the need. If And that's what differentiate a businessman and entrepreneur. A businessman works for money. He looks for, he does this business, he saves this much amount of money, that money he takes home. So businessman thinks with the money, arbitrage as his opportunity, while an entrepreneur looks at the society arbitrage, what society needs and what is it getting today, and what is that gap that one can potentially fill in. So he's constantly, or he or she is constantly hunting for that, first of all, that need which is there in the market. And the second attribute to such people is their sheer ability to imagine things. While Anu was explaining about Amazon, being an ex-Amazonian, I can tell you There are 14 leadership principles. They've added two new, so they made the list to 16 leadership principles. Is a clear guide to thinking and being innovative all the time. And the first leadership principle in their list is being very, very customer obsessed. So be obsessed to your clients that you're going to serve, and always marry to those, not to the goals where you do the sort of fulfillment too. So coming back to the point that first is the need, and the second is sheer ability to imagine things. How would they look like? Because if that imagination is missing, then you will not be able to create the impact. And the third thing is believe the process and stay convicted throughout the process. So the path to entrepreneurship, or I would say path to something which is tangible that an entrepreneur is able to create, is quite there's this word called risk, which has a lot of negative connotation attached to it. Last few years have made it little positive connotation attached to it, and I hope that continues for a good amount of time. That if you're willing to be on the wire, if you're willing to kind of be uncomfortable for long periods of time, until you see output or a conviction delivered, you're not fit for an entrepreneurship. So if you put these three things together, what comes out is sort of a fearless, imaginative person who's looking for a gap in the society, or gap in the function, where he can or she can just come with a solution. And as rightly put by both Anu and Ashish, the ecosystem right now is very, very supportive. You need not be born in a very rich family and a rich dad and rich parents. There are a lot of rich daddies today out there who's ready to sign big checks if you have dream to think big. You just need, and what they do is they just take away a little bit of your equity in your company, and they still leave you with a fairly large degree of equity to even financially earn from, and of course make money for them as well. So if you really look at what I just said, marry these things in these three things, and what emerges as be an entrepreneur.
Thank you so
Over
much,
to you.
sir. If I could also just add to this, in fact, so at Enactus we have a project implementation criterion which includes both innovation and entrepreneurial action, which for me also speaks volumes about how us as students or us as entrepreneurs, how we can in fact make dynamic change in society simply by introducing new technologies or new ideas, and also like you said, looking for the extraordinary amongst the ordinary, looking for something that is special in just by sort of dreaming big and just by being slightly more resilient, and of course by taking risks, as all of you said, or risks as all of you said before. But also speaking about innovation, even with new discoveries and the growth of technology, the tech market does seem saturated at points, especially for new entrepreneurs and businesses. So, Anuranjita ma'am, how would you guide new businesses to think out of the box in this regard? And what sectors do you think are still undiscovered or untouched by technology in India?
Look, I think technology is no more an option. It's just the way of life, and it's a bit like saying, "How do you breathe and how do you quench your thirst?" It's how do you connect. Look at us; we are on technology right now, right? So I think there is everyday life is touched by technology, and I think after COVID, the reality is this whole working from anywhere, and the hybrid working is going to be the reality and the norm. So, simple human connectivity. I think we are all social human beings, right? So, we need to connect. We have now been, on Zoom or MS Team or Skype or StreamYard. We're all a part of it. So, to me, it's just the way of life. I think, when I look back at my son who's now 18, but, he was also born in the new era. So, he always thought he was downloaded from somewhere. He wasn't born. So, when you have new kids being, growing up thinking they're downloaded, I mean, where do I go from there? So, Vamika, technology is the way we will operate, and I think for a new entrepreneur, I mean, I can start by example of ourselves. So we right now learn like a skilling and employment platform for women, and we launched pre-COVID, right? And we launched it in Jan 2020. March COVID hits. There was no option but to pivot, and we pivoted, and we had no idea what we were dealing with. Nobody knew in the world, and today we have 150,000 women on this platform. It's become like a tech for women, and we do skilling, learning, and employment. We've been able to help women who lost their husbands during COVID and got them employment. How did they reach out to us on the platform? So I think the point is, you don't start by saying, I need to have the best in class tech. You have to start with a great idea. What problem are you trying to solve? What is the problem? As Sachin said, what is a social problem you're trying to solve? Technology can enable it, but technology in itself is not a solution. Yes, you have companies who do hardware and software, but they are SaaS or they are B2B. They're enabling a problem solver to solve a problem. So if many of your kids decide, oh, I want to get into a social impact space, or I want to be for profit, I want to be in a space like Amazon is, or I want to be in education sector, retail sector, hospitality sector, take any sector today. I don't think anybody can operate without technology. Let's take FMCG companies, Unilever, one of the bigger companies, right? Today they're selling a lot of soaps and all the FMCG product. But what is the engine behind it? There are two parts. There are two: talent and technology, and both kind of have to coexist together. I don't think either of them can exist without each other. Going back to what Sachin was referring to, I completely agree. There's plenty of capital. The market liquidity is very, very high. But the reality is, it's a bit like you need people to run with technology. Investors do not like very heavy cost in human capital. They like optimum cost, if I can put it, in human capital, and you are self enabled on technology. But finally, it's the brain which works behind technology. So I think it's not to be feared. It's a bit like, a gun. A gun operates when somebody operates it. Similarly, technology operates when somebody codes it, right? But I think you have to learn it. For me, in the last 18 months, I mean, just to know basics about a Python or a Java, I had no idea. I'm a non-techie. Okay, let me admit it. But today we're launching a AI bot for mentoring women because that's the only way we could reach out to millions. There is no way I can continue to do a human touch. But end of that bot, there is a human. But for us to funnel and saying who needs more of that help, I need technology. And I will get the human connection because I don't think, now having developed an AI bot, let me tell you, my appreciation of the human mind has gone up exponentially. We are the best computers. And the way we learn, I'm developing Tara, and Tara has to be taught a window looks like this, or a car has these dimensions. And the complication of the code is very, very high. So, human mind is the best technology that has been built on this planet. And someday, somehow, somebody will replicate it. I don't know when. So, embrace technology, humanize technology, and make it a partner to enable your and give life to your ideas.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think just the entire aspect of, you know, comparing the human mind to AI, I think that's so fresh for me because I would never have thought about it in those terms, right? That you have to actually teach a robot what a window looks like or what anything looks like. But I think I'll move forward with Aditya. I think he can move on with the next question.
Yeah, technology does provide a lot of opportunities as we have discussed so far, but at the same time, it comes with a lot of challenges too. So, for example, during my tenure at Enactus SRCC, I remember that in the initial stages of Project ASBA, our project in the water sector, where we are setting up technology based water filtration plants to ensure both affordability as well as accessibility of clean drinking water to thousands of people in the urban slums and rural households. So, there was a challenge for us initially for us to take the local people into confidence about the technology we were using to filter the water and ultimately to convince them, which sort of goes on to show that sometimes technology does get limited to a very small proportion of people due to its complexity, expense, or any other factor. So, Ashish sir, we would want to know that did you face something similar when you started, considering that you're building an edtech startup and you want to, maximize the impact to a lot of students out there in the community. So, how do you think, small scale entrepreneurs can expand the horizon of technology and innovation to make it acceptable by masses at large?
Yeah. So Aditya, when you are a very smaller organization, at that point in time you have to look for ways how you can make things work, right? So at the very early stage of your startup, you need to see wherever you can use plug and play tools rather than building everything from scratch. The best idea is to use, whether you're talking about CRMs, whether you're talking about your Salesforce, your cloud telephony, you're talking about, let's say, how do you generate demand, for that matter, chatbot that Anu just talked about. So figure out each and every way wherein you can minimize development tech at your end and maximize the third party, whichever thing you can use plug and play. There are a lot of things which will not be able to use plug and play, but maximize what you can use plug and play. And then comes the second question, that how do you onboard your customers? Let's say in our case it's the students, right? So how do you onboard your customers to use those tech platform which you have developed for them? So that's never easy. First thing is that you have to work with students. Let's say when we talk about Sunstone, there is essentially no pen, books, paper in our in any program that we run. Everything is run through technology. It's the LMSs, even the placements, everything happens on a console or a student hub. Similarly, when they join, they get all the information in the student hub. So it's the onboarding has to be done right. You have to onboard your customers in a manner wherein they should know that everything will happen on this platform. And obviously you have to provide them right support and provide them with all the tools which are actually necessary for them to work. Let's say if we have an LMS and students can't download the video, student cannot, let's say, check how much learning they have done, they can't do quizzes midway, that's something that's not a good product. So first, obviously, you need to ensure that the product that you have created is consumer friendly and is helping students or helping your customers in a way which earlier without that product they were not able to do those kind of work, or some adding something to them. So whether let's say in our case it's the learning outcomes, it's the learning index, which otherwise in an offline environment, because all the data was like it was kind of a black box. Now when you suddenly open up that data and put it up on a tech platform, every student can see that what kind of learning progress that they have made. Now if they also know, if they put everything on the LMS, if they do all the assignment on the LMS, they can see that kind of progression, that hiring, and they can know where they are lacking, they can know how they can progress in certain topic, right? So this is something. So you have to tell them what are the advantage of using that tech product, onboard them. And then obviously it's not that all of your consumers, customers will always use the product, but it will always be sort of an 80-20 kind of a scenario.
Thank you for your input, sir. I very much agree with all that you said. And given that we're students right now, we start off with the minimal amount of resources. And the first point that you mentioned, that not developing, minimizing the development of in-house technology. So it is the feasible option right now. And we at Enactus always strive towards an equitable future, and uh, as pointed out earlier, it is rightly said that incorporating technology in our social ventures always goes a long way in that respect and opens many doors for a business to prosper. Now, Sachin sir, my next question. Working to uplift the underprivileged, I think it's safe to say that most Enactus students have come to observe that the origin and distribution of technology generally remain limited to the urban spaces. How do you think we can integrate technology in the social sector in order to maximize the impact on the grassroots level?
Sure. Great question, Kushi. So I'll just first decouple two parts of the question. First is role of technology as such. Anu and Ashish have shared good thoughts. I'll add to a few of them, and then we'll talk about distribution of technology at the grassroots level. So first come first. there was this saying by a venture capitalist that you either tell a computer what to do or become a person who will listen to computer what to do. So you can take one of these two roles. And if you really look at the Uber drivers, if you really look at these Zomato delivery boys, they listen to this instruction. Somebody gave those instructions to those machines to be able to for them to get it. So the role of technology is undisputed. The second part that I really want to talk about, this famous writer and uh, idealist founder Naval Ravikant, he writes about technology that it's a very beautiful thing. It just democratizes the consumption, but consolidates the production. So the best man for anything gets to do it for everyone. So, in nutshell, what he's trying to say that it's the loudspeaker to a nice voice. So, if you sing it well, many people can hear it. So, there is one of the two things that are very important to amplify an idea. It is A, technology, B, capital. And if you have the right technology, capital, and of course the right cause and idea that you're working towards, there's no reason why that your cause will not reach many people. So very, very important that technology should be the underlying, as Anu explained, it's no more an option. It's just very, very important to be part of the cause. Otherwise, it'll just remain limited to very small number of people. The second part, which is how do we distribute technology? Actually, that problem or getting resolved 20 years back, and it's just taking us faster and better to be able to distribute it by using internet. So internet is not a small technology change that happened. It actually was a big technology change that happened, that it started bringing technology to wide number of people. Today, India is one of the first countries to have more mobile phones than laptops, and ability of this small little handheld device to be available to almost people at all economic levels and strata is very, very important. It's not just the entertainment that they can do on top of it. It can also do education. Ashish is one person who's running that agenda for the country to uplift the education sector. But the device that we have in our hands is not a small device. It's a sort of a working computer. It has a processing. It has ability to interact and talk to the company what they feel about it, and how can that company can help that particular consumer. So as we speak today, the internet has solved problems in agriculture, in education, in finance, and ability to be able to reach out to them is enabled by internet. And over the internet now we have a second layer, as Anu explained, cloud, which allows entrepreneurs like us and likes of Ashish to really come and build the business outcome very, very fast on it, and then quickly see if that is working for them or not. So I would say that the overall internet, mobile phone, and technologies like cloud, and I would just go ability to financially empower these people by some of the initiatives that as Indians we should be proud of at a global stage, something like a UPI, where it's no more just average learning happening over the internet, over the phone. We are actually transferring serious money of over the wire, over the internet, to each other when we are transacting and taking products and services. So imagine, this meeting could have very well happened somewhere else. It's happening on this stage. It's enabled by technology and internet. I'm sure some of the people in this listening mode are watching it on their phones, not on their laptops. So we have all possible permutation combinations that have come alive. The cost of owning the handheld devices is going down, almost like we are the country with the cheapest mobile packages. The per GB cost is perhaps the lowest in the world. is one of the factors that we are able to reach and take this technology to grassroots levels. And believe me, we are just sitting in 2020. Imagine what 2030 would look like. 2030 would look like a far more advanced with, we were talking about internet, and then we started talking about internet of things, and I would say then internet of everything would is not very far away, because it's just going to get into the devices that we wear or the things that we have at home, for urban, but for even rural areas. It'll get into tractors, it will get into people, it will get into soil to find out the productivity. Humans would just do somewhat better what they're doing today, and that's how we can move ahead as society and kind of grow together. So I would say that it's still day one, and I see 10 years from today to be far better than the 10 years in past.
Thank you so much, sir. I think definitely having grown up in the technological age, we take a lot of the technology that we see for granted and we don't realize how far we've actually come. But like you said, I think I am also extremely excited to see where we go in the next 10 years and how all these interfaces change. And of course, I think it the responsibility kind of lies on us now to disseminate the technology to the grassroots levels and sort of bridge the digital gap. So just to wrap up with this very, very informative session, I have one last question for the three of you. All three of you have been entrepreneurs, you've invested in them, and you've also helped them grow. Can you share with us what your biggest learnings were as you went through this journey, or a moment or incident that was a total game changer for your entrepreneurial career? And Ranjita ma'am, if you'd like to begin first.
What it brought to my mind was my pitch to my some of my investors. The first round of fundraise that we did, I had no bag. I mean, yeah, I worked in banking, but I never worked actively on the investment banking side of banking. So I remember doing the pitch, and I'd learned through all my VC friends, tech and all of that. And these guys are my lead investors now. But so the first time I went in there, let me just give you the profile. There are two men, okay, in late 40s. They are IT, MIT, McKinsey. They've had two big ventures with big VCs, and we are pitching to them. No idea, okay, novice entrepreneurs, and go in there. And I think I'm very passionate about what I do, um, and I think as I was talking, I mean, they kept interrupting me, so I had to politely say, "Hey, can I just talk?" Like, I had to put them on mute on Zoom. And then for 45 minutes, I did, or maybe 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, I did my pitch through my deck. And when I unmuted, I think they were both looking at me through the Zoom screen and saying, "We don't get it. Just tell us exactly what you do and how do you make money?" And that was a moment of reckoning for me. And I was like, okay, this is over. We are not getting that money, because I could not explain them, because I was so passionate about what I do, I couldn't explain them. And they are very savvy investors. And they told me, they turned around, and I, of course, went through the pitch again and explained them. They said, you know what? One of our signs of when we put our money is on an investor who speaks with passion. They believe in what they believe. They are seeing the magic happening. They are seeing the traction happening. They're seeing the growth happening, but they're not able to explain it, how they're doing it, because it's so embedded in their system. So, and of course, we got their money, right? So they are our lead investors. But the point is that it's what I realized was that the belief in what I was doing had to be communicated in a way which was not always very verbal or vocal. They somehow it was very infectious. I mean, through the Zoom screen, it kind of reached and attacked their brain and said, "Okay, this is a great idea," and she's really betting on it. The point is, as Sachin was saying, that when the investors come in for the first time, they're betting on you, and they're betting on your passion, right? It's an idea which you will give life to. So there's a lot of pressure on an entrepreneur, because the money is riding on the entrepreneur. The idea comes, but the entrepreneur is the first person that they'll put the money on. So your own belief system is extremely critical to make it happen. And if you don't believe in what you're trying to pitch out to, and it's not a sales pitch, it's your passion pitch which you make out. So that belief is what I ride on. And once you got that belief right, innovation, technology, all of that follows.
Sachin sir, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good 1 hour conversation. If I could, do it alone for the next 60 minutes, but I'll try to shrink it. I was just trying to write some bullet points or I'm going to talk, but after writing two or three, I realized it's just going to be. So, first, being an investor, and I have invested in several companies. One thing that I really ask, and this is actually aligned to what Anu was saying, I don't ask it in that straight way, but I'm going to tell you in the straight way because we decipher rather than ask this one. That what's your plan B? And if a founder has a plan B, uh, for us, there's a simple plan is to exit immediately because uh, a founder doesn't have a plan B. He's all in, and if the plan B is very recursive, it's just going back to plan A and figuring out a different way of doing it, but he's not exiting at all. So if you get the smell of plan B, is the simplest way that you just don't want to invest in that company. So that's one. The second is sales mindset, and we did not discuss this today as much as we discussed technology and innovation. I think there's a simple is hard, right? And we always say that simple things are easy. Actually, it's just the opposite. Simple is very, very hard to be able to communicate what you're trying to do for the society in a manner that it can be very well understood. As Anu was explaining, she had difficult times in explaining what she was doing because her passion was she was deep into the subject. Maybe the others may not be able to get it. So, ability to communicate of what you want to do and practice that like your left muscle is extremely important. So, sales mindset of selling the idea first and then the product that what you will create is extremely, extremely, extremely important. So, anyone that as an investor that I see has difficulty in communicating what they want to do as a company to either the investors or to the end users in less than a minute. Actually, this number goes even lower for when you go for bigger rounds of funding. That if you can't explain it, that means you don't have an idea, and it's just a hazy zone that you are in. And third thing that I really see, and I've learned from startups where I've invested, that things will not be same as you imagined. Although you came up with a thought, investor put that money with that thought as going to work, but finally what comes out is very, very different than what we originally thought. So is the founder is having signs of agility, and that can only be looked into past and how he operated in situations. So agility is a third dimension which is extremely, extremely important in how um, agile that person is, how agile that will he drop the ball or we'll just figure out another way to manage the situation. So agility becomes the third. The fourth one is make peace with the losses. So there's a difference between loss and a failure, and failure is fairly big thing or a big word if you ask me. That failure is not showing up in your intent or not doing what you thought you will attempt to do can be accounted for a failure. A loss is when you put in 100% and but still you didn't get that outcome, and moving on with that. So make peace with losses, don't commit failures. So failures is inability to do the execution the way you would have thought you would do. So and then learn from those and kind of move forward. So if you really look at these attributes put together, person with passion, and beautiful thing is that passion can only be felt. You can't be told. Or you say, I'm very passionate about this subject or this startup. It'll come out. It'll come out when you are explaining things. It'll come out when you're talking about the subject. It'll come out in your actions. It'll come out that, especially, one thing that, as an investor, that I have always done, is never commit money or never commit anything in the first go. Would usually wait and give them a task to see, how do they take it and come back. And usually the smart ones, do really go back and come back with something that they've done towards that direction. That shows the commitment, that shows the passion. And if you add no plan B kind of an attribute, and agility, and always learning, you really have something big in the making. And then all you have is this little piece of money, which you can, is a form of energy, I call it. Money is nothing but a form of energy. You put that with those people, and see that growing. It can be a loss for me, or it could be a loss for a potential investor, but it's still a loss. It's not a failure. And a failure is a breach of intent, that you gave it to yourself in the mirror, that I'm going to put in 100%, but that you did not. A loss is a very tactical thing in your life, that you have to just take it in your stride and move on.
Thank you, sir. Ashish, sir, would you also like to go
Yeah,
next?
sure, definitely. So one thing that I would say is that for me personally, it has never been one event or one thing which has changed something. And I don't know like for how many people it will be one event, because when you are a founder, when you have started a company, every day is a war. Every day you win some things, every day you lose some things, and you see so much of highs and low every day. And then you have to do that for a longer period of time. You have to do that for 6 7 8 years. So that's something, you have to have that kind of passion, which both Anu and Sachin talked about. You have to have that kind of energy to keep going on every day, right? So that's one thing. Other couple of advice that I would like to give to all the budding entrepreneurs, whosoever is watching, is and that's something which is very very crucial. Whenever you're thinking of starting up, ensure that you are playing in a very very large market. Don't take up any let's say entrepreneur stint wherein you are not playing in a large market. Play in a large market and think big, think really big. Don't think unicorn. Think, can you make a $10 billion company, $20 billion company? Can you create a impact at population scale? And luckily or unluckily, we are in a country where there is a large population, so you can actually create a very very large impact, right? And second thing is, groom people, nurture them, and give them responsibility. That's when you can actually go up up and up, right? So you have to trust in people and give them responsibility, let them drive things end to end.
Thank you so much, sir. We're extremely glad to be able to hear these personal anecdotes and suggestions, and we're sure to incorporate these advices in our businesses. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the speakers for their time and inputs, my wonderful co-hosts Aditya and Vamika for initiating this necessary dialogue, and most of all, Enactus India for giving us this platform to interact with pioneers in the field of technology and entrepreneurship. To conclude, I would request Aditya and Vamika to share their key insights that they gained throughout the session.
Thank you, Kushi. So this was truly an enlightening session, and all I can say is that we can already see the emergence of technology and the impact it can make, with people shifting to cashless payments through UPI, or to ordering groceries online, or to even being able to conduct such sessions in the virtual mode. And to sum it up all, I would say that from my end, I had read in textbooks always about a first mover advantage that businesses enjoy. And one of my main takeaways from this session would be that by developing something new, or by improving an existing product or service, technology and innovation can not only help entrepreneurs to become a first mover, but also to gain the advantage of a fast mover. We have seen a lot of recent 3 4 year old startups acquiring businesses existing since 20, 30 years, just because of the fact that they've been able to harness the technology in the right way. So all I can say is that it has been a great session, and I thank everyone for this interaction. Over to you, Vamika.
Thank you, Aditya. I think this was a lovely opportunity, and I thoroughly enjoyed the entire dialogue. For me, I think the entire correlation between the education system and entrepreneurship was very enlightening, because what I took away from that was an encouragement to grow and an encouragement to test my limits. And also, definitely, I've realized that risk taking and resilience are the two R's that I'm going to plan to live by. And I've picked up a number of extremely helpful tips, such as making peace with your losses, as such and so said, because I think that's definitely something that I struggle with. And that is an extremely helpful insight for me. But on the whole, I've genuinely realized the importance of passion sparking innovation in entrepreneurship. And just to conclude, this once in a lifetime learning opportunity was truly enriching for me. And I know that I speak for everyone watching that for now, we stand inspired to make a change. I would also like to thank my fellow changemakers, Aditya and Khushi, for for bringing up extremely relevant points throughout this entire journey. Thank you, Sachin sir, thank you, Ashish sir, and thank you, Anuranjita ma'am, for your fresh perspectives. I hope that our paths cross again sometime soon, and you are able to visit our projects and witness our social impact. I would also like to extend my gratitude to everyone else who was a part of this dialogue. I look forward to learning from each of you again. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Pleasure.
Bhavika.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Aditya.
Good evening, everyone. It's now time for the most awaited results of the 2021 Enactus India National Competition semi-final. Every year, a select group of student, business, and academic leaders come together to celebrate the hard work and the positive impact created by the Enactus teams. And today, on the fifth day of this celebration, otherwise known as the Enactus India National Competition, we have with us the name of the four finalists. As you are aware, this year the competition took place in two verticals, the mature stage and the early stage. The mature stage competition had 51 participating teams. These 51 teams were divided into 8 leagues, and 2 teams from each league advanced to the semi-final round. The semi-finalists were announced on the 16th of August. Those 16 semi-finalists were then divided into 4 leagues. out of which one team per league will advance to the final round. The semi-final round of the mature stage competition concluded today at 12 noon. Every year, KPMG serves as our official scorers and verifier, and this year as well, KPMG consolidated and verified the results and shared them with us. Thank you to KPMG for serving as our official scorers and verifiers. Congratulations to all the teams for your hard work and positive impact. Now let's finally move on to the results. The following teams competed in League 1. Congratulations to the runner-up from League 1, St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. From League 1, team moving to the final round is Netaji Subhas University of Technology. Congratulations to NSUT. The following teams competed in League 2. Runner-up from League 2, congratulations to Lady Sri Ram College for Women. And team moving to the final round from League 2 is Shahid Sukhdev College of Business Studies. A big round of applause to SSCBS. From League 3, we had the following teams. Congratulations to the runner-up from League 3, Kalindi College. Moving forward to the final round, from League 3, we have Sri Ram College of Commerce. Congratulations to SRCC. The following team competed in League 4, and congratulations to the runner-up from League 4 is Sri Guru Govind Singh College of Commerce. Moving forward to the final round of the competition from League 4 is Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Congratulations to IIT Delhi. Congratulations to all the finalists: Netaji Subhash University of Technology, Shahid Sukhdev College of Business Studies, Sri Ram College of Commerce, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. These 4 finalists will be competing in the final round between today and 21st of August. Congratulations to all the teams that competed in the semi-final round of competition. Thank you all the teams, all the participating teams, and congratulations to the top 4. The top 4 can also be viewed in enactusindia2021.org. The final round award ceremony will be held on the 21st of August. Please join us then to know more about world races and the winner of the Pop Month and the voting and viewing contest. And of course, to congratulate the national champion who will be representing India in the World Cup. Do not forget to watch the project showcase and vote for your favorite project video as the voting line is open. So please encourage everyone to your network to participate in the voting and viewing contest at india.enactus.org. Follow us on social media to stay updated with the upcoming activities and ceremonies. Thank you all for joining us today. See you at the final round award ceremony on 21st of August, 4:30 p.m. Until then, take care. Have a great evening. Thank you.